Hello, everyone. My name's Cash Miller. I am the CEO of Titan Media Works and host of Marketing Masters, where we go through different marketing strategies that your business can use to, get ahead. Because marketing is tough. It's one of those things. It's a necessity. We all got to do it. It doesn't matter what you run. Marketing is necessary. I've got with me Gisell Paula. She's with Scrap Strategies. Welcome, Gisell. It's great to have you on. We're going to be talking about how do you up your average order value. Hey, tell us a little bit about yourself and your agency.
Hi, Cash. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. So my name is Gisell. I come with years of experience working at marketing agencies. And what I saw running, everything from small nonprofit campaigns to nationwide national tours, what I saw is that there was consistently an understanding that marketing did need to happen. Like you mentioned, everyone does need to do marketing, but sometimes the foundational elements, the strategic or the technology that helps you quantify what success in your marketing looks like. A lot of times that was lacking. And what I found was that it was sometimes difficult for clients to be able to really articulate why they wanted more eyeballs and how were they going to track that. So Scrap Strategies, that's what we do. We do marketing operations, looking at the people, processes, technologies, and strategies that help small businesses communicate at scale.
Yeah, I think that's really good because it's like you get a lot of businesses that, they think marketing, but they don't really know. It's one thing to have a marketing or an advertising campaign, but it's another to actually take and quantify it and put it into, this is what it means. This is what you're getting as a return. And if you're not looking at those systems internally, or you're not looking at what the partner that you may have, if it's an agency or something, is providing you, like say, I work with a lot of clients and often they're not paying any attention to these things. And then they wonder later why their marketing campaign, why it failed or why they didn't, because it's like their ability to capitalize on it. As marketers, we do a bunch of front end work, but if you don't have your own systems in place, know what's, succeeding, what's not, that's going to be the issue.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm super curious, since you're still in the execution agency world, how often are your clients coming to you knowing what it is that they actually want to achieve? Like, how often are they guiding you saying, these are my business objectives, and how can you help me with that?
Yeah, a lot of them don't actually do that. That's the thing. We try to dig in as an agency, to learn about their business as much as possible and, encourage them that they got to be measuring different things, but they don't do it. It's like, and there's only so much like coaching advice and things that we can give them, but it really depends. You will run into other, some businesses that are a bit more sophisticated. They've got their systems in place, because what I often see is you have this marketing and sales disconnect. One of the simplest things could be marketing is marketing or advertising a certain product or service or whatever, but it's often could be the stuff that doesn't really have a high return, or they're not communicating with sales. And on the sales side, you have this issue of they're not telling marketing, hey, these are the services we have more success selling. These are the ones that have better margins. These are the ones that people are really, that are in demand. So if you don't have these teams talking, you're going to have that problem.
Absolutely. Silos, they're the biggest resource suck that I don't think enough people talk about. But to your point, Titan Media is a really fantastic partner, which is why it is that y'all try to dig in. But in reality, and a lot of what I strive to do is to empower small businesses to understand that business should be driving the marketing decisions. It shouldn't be the other way around. So marketing is supposed to help you achieve what your business goals are, what your organizational, purpose and mission is. And marketing is supposed to help you do more of that. It's not just about impressions on social or even sales if you're not getting the right type of sales. So really
Yes.
understanding and looking at your business critically and saying, why am I spending all of this money on this ad spend? Or why am I spending all of this money on this rebrand? And, you know, ideally the best partner for you will be the partner that is really clearly able to say like, hey Cash, this is what success for my business looks like for me, and that works best for you because then you and your team
Yeah.
know as the professionals, y'all know exactly how to achieve that. But without that, you're just kind of trying tactics, and it may not even be the thing that actually moves the needle or matters to that customer, and it's not obviously your fault. I think we just nowadays we just reduce marketing so much to just like a digital campaign,
Hmm.
not really understanding that it is part of a larger ecosystem and that your business drives those decisions.
Yeah. One of the things that I know, talk with your clients about is average order value and stuff. And one of the things that comes with that, like on the front end, there are certain types of clients we don't like to work with, and it comes down to the order value. If you're dealing with e-commerce, because we do a lot of paid ads for people,
Hmm.
and order value matters because if you spend so much on your paid ads, if you spend, you know, what the investment you make on the marketing side can be significant. And if you can't get enough on the order value, if each service, whether it's a service or it's an e-commerce product, whatever it might be, if it's not worth enough, because this is where people they don't really look at it. Like you need that higher order value sometimes to justify the spend that you're putting in on the front end,
Hmm.
and you have to look at the whole thing. So, if I sell something that costs $10, it cannot cost me $12 to market it, but it also
Yeah,
can't cost me $8 either. You've got to get it down because there's a cost of production, there's a cost of providing the
absolutely.
service. And I think a lot of business owners, they don't focus on that a great deal.
Absolutely.
They say, this is what the service sells for. This is what it's costing me to market. And they forget the cost of the service itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. End up accidentally cutting into your profits and, not taking account that it's not just your contribution margin, but like you have to
Hmm.
allocate for all of the other business operations after that. And what what's really and I just wanted to because that is a really important point of just understanding your cost from like a business perspective, but also there's different ways that it can be looked at depending on what your business goals are. So if you're looking at maybe like a fundraising round or acquisitions, maybe you do want those higher volumes, and then it's a matter of
Hmm.
like how do you offset or put certain thresholds to your partners to say, hey, this is where we need to keep the benchmark at. And again, empowering small business owners to really drive those conversations. Your agency partners or even your internal marketing team isn't going to know what those numbers are if you don't communicate that
Hmm.
with them. um, and yeah, I think so that's a lot where kind of like that. I think that example is really great because if we're looking at it from a revenue perspective, and making sure that we're making returns on those advertising investments, for sure, that sometimes that's actually not what this season of the business calls for. And that's where your business strategy is meant to drive your marketing and your sales operations.
Well, I think part of it is also, if you truly understand the business and how it makes money, often in marketing we talk about funnels, and part of the funnel could be that I get that initial customer, but I don't make it on the front end. Maybe I
Hmm.
break even. Maybe, I can't make any money on that end, but I've added them to my database, and I have other things that I can sell them afterwards. So
Absolutely.
whether you're a service business or e-commerce, or brick and mortar, they walk in the store. Yeah, it's how you capture stuff. A long time ago, like the company Grubhub, when it first got started, I read this book, about a year ago or something. But the Grubhub started back in like 2006, seven, I think maybe as early as 2005. But the guy that founded Grubhub, one day he was talking to um, a pizza restaurant, been around forever,
Mhm.
and he asked them, it's like, and it's funny because he couldn't win their business. He just like knew it. And it's like, why do you keep advertising? Why do you send out mailers? Why do you send out like,
Mhm.
postcard offering specials and deals? You don't make any money on this stuff. You're giving away the farm essentially. It's like at best you're break even. And the guy replied, he said, yes, but if they try my food, they'll come back. and I
Mm-hmm.
need them to try my food, because then I turn them into that repeat customer. And that's what businesses need to
Absolutely.
be thinking of in that long term, because that business owner knew he had a great customer experience. He had awesome food and people would
Absolutely.
want to try, they would order again. And then you wouldn't spend money on that one. So it's,
Mm-hmm.
if you have to understand your business as a whole, what you're offering, how do you bring people back, what are you doing then? Because a lot of businesses are really bad about the follow up too. They don't pay attention.
Absolutely.
They don't pay attention to their
Oh,
databases or anything.
post-click conversions. How many times do you have that conversation of just like what happens at, you do a great job, you have a fantastic ad, and you're able to
Hmm.
drive people to a landing page, and then no one converts, and people keep tweaking the ads, tweaking the ads, and nothing about, okay, what happens afterwards. If you're a service-based business, or and you have a sales call, what happens after they sign up for the sales call? Like, I think what you said is just so important. Understanding your business, but not just understanding your business, understanding that each part of your business has a different life cycle and is
Hmm.
addressing your customer at different points, and what defines success at each of those points can be different. And so making sure that you identify what that is and that you're
Hmm.
tracking that.
Yeah, no, that's important. Like I say, define success, because
Hmm.
success may not be that first sale. Success is the ability to bring them back in again. So you have to look at your customer experience. You have to
Yeah.
look at the product. Is it what they really want? And are they willing to come back in? So understanding your business model, but then working with the people that are marketing or advertising your business so that they understand your business model. I say
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
enough owners pay. They don't take the time to really do that. I had a client like years ago that did ball bearings. They made steel
Hmm.
ball bearings. Really cool factory, really old equipment and stuff. And it was like
That's so neat.
neatest tour. But the problem was they wanted these like small batch, and understood the business, but the problem was is the marketing. It was very hard to connect them.
Mm,
They thought marketing would solve their problem of getting to certain people, because they didn't do, if they were making ball bearings, it wasn't 100,000 that they would ship to then some supplier. Is like
yeah.
the problem would be you have a very specific market that wants small batch. They want 2,000. They're doing some sort of limited run equipment that they need this product for, and you're trying to use digital marketing to get to them. And I explained that. I said that's going to be like a very difficult challenge. And what we ended up, a lot of the stuff that ended up attracting were people that did need ball bearings, but they didn't need 2,000 of them. They needed
Yeah.
10, like, and so I think with businesses too, they have to understand that sometimes marketing is not the way to go. Advertising
Hmm.
does not work. A lot of businesses have this habit of, they think it's a shortcut, to do things. It's the easy button. And they don't, because they don't have to pick up the phone, and
Hmm.
in the case of that particular business, the only way they were ever going to be successful at selling was direct selling. They needed to put together, and they could combine it with certain things. So if you
Yeah.
got, a big enough list together of potential contacts, and then you could email those contacts, and then you could, potentially do like programmatic advertising or
Yeah.
something, which would just be a reminder. It wouldn't be that it's going to generate you the lead. It's staying
Yeah.
top of mind is all it is. So I think with marketing, for one, you got to understand its limitations, and then
Hmm.
based on your business, and then you also have to learn to be creative about it and see, can it complement some things that you're doing or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I there was someone who came to me, and they were kind of interested in whether or not they should get like a social media manager. And I could have just gave them a simple answer. But instead, what I did is I sat them down and I really explained how marketing works. And so, asked about what their ad spend was. Okay, was that driving traffic? Good. Okay, so we have people coming to the website, and really helping them to understand that. social the problem wasn't getting more people to the website. We talked about like, okay, what happens when they're on the website? Okay, why aren't, and it was really like a question of, I don't think that what you're selling in the way that you're selling right now is appealing, and the data is showing that. And so, let's take a step back, and instead of thinking about like social media posts and, it that plays a role, but great marketing is going to get you a ton of people once.
Mm,
You have to have a product that people want for them to um, want to, in this was like a co-working space, so for people to want to go and return there and stay there long term. And even with product-based businesses, you have to have a product similar to what the pizza man was saying. You have to trust that your product is so good that people are going to want to come back, and
mhm.
there's no marketing that's going to fix a bad product or fix a bad experience or fix bad service. Like, and I think like that's really where scrap strategies came from, is understanding that like you mentioned, people, and again, I think the world that we live in has really reduced marketing and what its intentions were, and
Mm,
kind of how it came about, and
yeah.
they expect marketing to do a lot more than it used to. And marketing can't run your business, and so that's why, as a business owner, as a small business owner, it's really important for you to understand your business, what drives those sales, so you can come to your expert partners in their areas and say, hey, I'm the expert in my industry, in my business, and here's what I'm trying to accomplish, and become co-collaborators. Like you mentioned, I do think a lot of people will spend money on agency partners and kind of set it and forget it.
Mhm.
And really, I think looking more, understanding that it's a partnership, and that you need all folks to be consistently invested, and especially to see long-term returns.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think one of the things too with businesses, yeah, the set it, forget it is a problem. They also have a problem, especially like if you're a service business or something. There's, in some cases with service businesses like HVAC and, it could be lawyers, and everybody says the same kind of things, right? They have this tendency to emulate what other people are doing. They don't actually know if it's successful. Social media is one of those things that only certain things can be sold there. Everybody thinks it, especially when it first came along, it was like this, um, it's social, that's the hot thing, let's do
Mhm.
that because that's what everybody else is suddenly doing and stuff, but that's not necessarily where certain things are bought. I like, whenever I'm looking at somebody's marketing, if you have to understand, and you have to be willing to accept your own business's limitations. If you are a
Mhm.
service-based business, you are, they find you because they have a need. You can stay top of mind using things like social and stuff, but don't expect, that you're going to get a bunch of leads from that particular platform, because you are you're just staying top of mind for
Yeah.
the next time that they have a need. And so when you're looking at budgets and you're looking at, how are you going to market the business, you have to understand that it is limited by the amount of money you can spend, for one.
Mhm.
And so you need to be strategic in how you're doing it, and you need to understand where your customers are likely to be. As a marketing agency, whatever marketing partner you have, they should be able to help you with that. If they understand your business, then they can say, hey, these are the platforms that are likely to have the most success, if any of them. I've seen a lot of people over the years that they end up thinking like social media is like this cure all. I see this company doing it, and because they're doing it, it should work. I'm like, well, for one, you don't know their budget. It's like,
Mhm.
don't rely on what you don't know. You don't know their budget. You don't know the other things they're doing for marketing. You don't know if they're actually driving any new business
Absolutely.
from this. So don't worry about them.
Yeah.
Because marketing is, it's a scalable thing.
Mhm.
But each platform also has limitations. I can only
Mhm.
do so much from anything. Like, yeah, even if I'm running paid ads and I've got a fairly big area, there's a point where I can't spend any more money. Doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you give it to me. It's things like that. There's a lot of limitations in marketing that people need to accept, and then you figure about, because it's about having a strategic plan. When you can
Yeah.
scale, you can find new avenues.
Yeah. And I understand that, you know, a lot of times as small business owners, we want an immediate ROI, but sometimes
Hmm.
it really is a worthy investment to bring on, like a fractional CMO or someone like myself and my team to take a step back to do some research because like you said you don't know and you're not in the same business even if you're in the same industry. Every one of my favorite books that I've read this year is uh, Where to Play and How to Win, and the name is going to escape me, but it's from the. Have you read it?
I haven't. I've heard of the book though. Yeah. So
Yeah, it's written by the ex CEO of P&G, uh,
okay.
and what it's all about is and they have dozens of brands around the world. They're a
Hmm.
ginormous company, but even still, with each product, with each, because they'll sometimes quote unquote compete with themselves. Like they'll have
Yeah.
several brands within the same sector. And what they do, or what that book illustrates so well, is an intimate look at understanding that, each paper towel, like Bounty, even though they might have other paper towel brands or other home good brands, that plays a very strategic role and it's attracting and it's speaking to a different customer. And what that means is that Bounty is in a different business than maybe like a lower quality brand. And why that matters is that your customer is looking for something else. So instead of trying to be, um, I can imagine that you hear this all the time as well, but instead of trying to be the Apple of XYZ industry,
Mm,
um, you know, you don't have the same advantages of Apple. And not because
yeah.
you can't, but it's like you're making different business decisions, and that's great. But instead of trying to fit someone else's strategies into your business, it's important to understand what do you do really well, what part of that fits in with your customers, and like you said, reach them where they are. Each platform, digital marketing is a beautiful thing, but like you said, each platform serves a different service and you're having different conversations with them at each
Hmm.
point. And if you're doing, something super niche, like that B2B example that you gave, no one is going to make a conversion off of one single ad.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works in that industry. So, making sure that you invest in someone, particularly if marketing isn't your strength. I know a lot of people like hate marketing. They have all of these really terrible connotations with it.
Yeah.
But if you're not equipped, which is totally fair, that doesn't necessarily have to be your expertise, but instead of throwing money at, this thing and that hot thing and following this trend, taking a step back and understanding, okay, out of the business that I've gotten, what has really worked? And like you said, where digital marketing is really magical is it can scale those things that do actually work.
Yeah. So before you ever start marketing, like I say, understand your actual business, understand what you do and
Absolutely.
understand. And I think a lot of business, because you get the answer, if you ask the question, who do you sell to? Like, who's your customer? Well,
Hmm.
everybody can be my customer. Well, no, that's not the case. No matter, technically, yes, everybody could be your customer, but the reality is they're not all your,
Hmm.
they're not. And I think business owners need to understand that, and then they need to go through that bit of a journey and discover who they are and who they want to sell to, because you have certain people that are, like with any business, you're going to have a certain segment of customers that are more high value.
Hmm.
There's a reason that they come back. Maybe they have more discretionary income or something,
Yeah.
but they come back and they buy again. Whereas you got people like, if you did the coupon thing, well, they're just going to wait for the next coupon. They're never going to come back in, and you need them to come back in on their own for them to actually
Yeah.
spend more money, because the coupons are often loss leaders.
Mhm.
So
Or to find other ways to leverage them. And this is where kind of like what we touched on earlier about average order
mhm,
value, and making sure that, okay, maybe we're bringing in someone for this and we're going to lose a little bit here, but
mhm,
we're going to try and and again, there's no shortcut to it. You need to understand your business, you need to understand what your customers want, because once you do that, you can offer complementary things that coincide with exactly what it is that they're looking for in that moment that they're engaging with you with that coupon, and focus on creating the experience that allows them to want to spend more, to want to keep returning. And not only does that increase customer lifetime value, obviously, because you'll have that retention, but if you're able to get really curious and become an investigator of your customer, you can find those complementary services or products and then use technology to scale
Hmm.
how it is that you present that to them to increase your average order customer value.
Yeah, you make a good point there because I think a lot of people, the restaurant business comes to mind. I've got a associate that I deal with, that I've dealt with for years, and he's a marketer that's worked in the restaurant field and more so than I have. And he often talks where they'll, do stuff to bring them in, but he'll focus on not just okay the marketing to bring them in, but the products that you're actually selling because
Hmm.
he's worked a lot with Mexican restaurants and stuff, and you have certain items that can be that are on the menu, and if they're combined with others, because think of the burrito you don't make quite enough money on, but if you could sell it as a combo meal,
Hmm.
okay, and it's combined with rice and beans. Rice and beans are super cheap and high margin for them.
Hmm.
So the value that meal, that combo meal is worth more. So you have to focus on how do you get them to buy the combo meal versus just the burrito. Yeah,
Hmm.
that's because suddenly your margin goes up significantly because
Absolutely.
rice and beans are, super cheap. So, it's thinking and it's understanding that these are the things people are willing to buy, but how do you package them and then
Hmm.
combine them into that deal that brings them in, rather than just picking something off of the menu, and saying, hey, you have to understand what it costs to make each of these items, and if you
Absolutely.
do that you can actually trim what would be, if it's a loss leader you can knock it down a little bit so it's not so much of one, or
Hmm.
maybe even become profitable.
Yeah, and what your customers are willing to pay for and how much they're willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
Until you kind of test and try. And of course, I'm really big on like tracking these tests because I also feel like that's somewhere we fall
Hmm.
short. We're trying a lot of things, and then we bring on new team members, and they weren't there when we tested out those things. So that legacy knowledge is lost. So again, making sure that you're testing and documenting those test results, and optimizing against them so that it might just be like, I don't know, coconut rice will allows you to charge a premium, and it's the
Yeah.
same process. You just add coconut milk, which, and so who would know that except if, if you see
Yeah.
that that doesn't work everywhere, but if your customers are adventurous eaters, um, and that's where you really need to again be really curious about them. And if you know that you want to continue to attract those adventurous eaters and you want to charge a premium for fun and a different
Hmm.
experience than a burrito that they would get elsewhere, that's where you really lean into. And there's no there's no wrong way to do it except to not be intentional about it.
Yeah. No, that's very, yeah, that's on point. If you're not intentional about it, you have to be willing to, you know, put together such tests. You got to be willing to experiment, make your changes and such. But if you're not actually, doing it to begin with, or
Hmm.
you're not taking it seriously, because it's like, I say, don't leave it to, I guess at the end of the day, don't leave it to just the marketer. They don't understand the ins and outs. I don't know what particular products cost, to do the work, provide the service, provide the food, whatever it might be. I don't have a clue because it's not my
Hmm.
business. And you need to, be involved in the process. If you are, then the marketer is going to have more to work with,
Hmm.
to be able to help, sell the appropriate things that will, provide the the sales growth that you want to be able to see.
Yeah, and something that I think would be really fun for the least for your listeners to do is ask yourself, would you make your marketer your CEO?
There's
Because
an
in
interesting
essence,
question.
that's
Yeah.
what's being done. We're allowing marketers to make, to lead business impact, and to
Yeah.
determine how it is and how much revenue it is that we're bringing into our business.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I say, they need for a marketer to be successful, they need the entire picture, not just part of the picture.
Hmm.
Yeah. Cause they can say, hey, we're driving leads, we're form submissions, calls and stuff, but they're not on the other end. They don't
Yeah,
know if, any of it's converting. They don't know if there's a disconnect between what's being said, when they talk to that lead, the business does, or, I say there can be all sorts of problems along the way that the marketer will not be
absolutely.
aware of if you don't communicate with the marketer.
Yeah, and man, small business owners, please empower yourself. I remember, Cash, a few episodes ago, you mentioned how sometimes you're brought in to do work, and you'll do stuff on the back end, but you don't know about
Hmm.
other things that another agency partner is doing. You've really got to look at all of these partners that you bring in as your board, and it's
Yes.
so important for everyone on that board to be communicative. And even if your board, aka your independent kind of like agency partners, aren't initiating that, it is your job as the business owner to bring that type of collaboration, because ultimately you're paying for those results from everyone that's in that board. And either folks know what's going on and can work collaboratively and do each of their jobs better because they understand what's happening in different areas, or you're leaving it to places where, like you mentioned, things might break on the back end, and it would absolutely not be anyone's fault because
Hmm.
there was ignorance. No one knew what else was happening.
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Giselle, how would people get a hold of you? Because, you focus on not the front end, but making sure all of these back end pieces,
Yes.
yeah, and the data is there. These things are working. How would people get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you can connect with me at scrapstrategies.com, or my two other favorite platforms are LinkedIn at Gisell Paula and Instagram at Get Strategy. And I would love to talk to y'all and help you make better marketing and business decisions.
Okay. Well, that'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for joining us. We've been talking about the disconnect that you get with marketing and your actual business. Pay attention to it. Okay. They got to work hand in hand, not separately. Otherwise, you're going to spend a bunch of money on marketing and you're not going to see the results you wanted. And then you're going to wonder what went wrong. My name's Cash Miller. I'm the host of Marketing Master, CEO of Titan Media Works. We do podcast production. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode.